Welcome to Delta Green, God's Teeth, brought to you by Black Project Gaming. Get read in at blackprojectgaming.com. I'm Vince, your host and handler for this campaign. Joining me are Cami as FBI Special Agent Sarah Hart, Doug as Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent Gerrald Swenson, Jack as Special Agent Adrian Selivanov with the FBI's Computer Analysis Response Team, and Sonia as Dr. Leah Caron with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. God's Teeth is a campaign of unthinkable horrors, written by Caleb Stokes for Delta Green, the role-playing game. For more information on Delta Green, please visit delta-green.com. Music in these episodes is brought to you by Cryo Chamber and Epidemic Sound. This podcast contains depictions of and allusions to violence against both children and animals, as well as unnatural horror, graphic violence, and adult language. As a result, it is intended solely for mature audiences. Listener discretion is strongly advised. It is Thursday, the 25th of August in 2016, just shortly before 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Bear, you are the first to arrive at the address that was given to you by your case officer for your rendezvous in Washington, D.C., the purpose of which you're still not entirely clear on and most certainly has not been explained to you. As a reminder for everyone, the program did arrange for you all to travel to attend a meeting in Washington, D.C. You were informed you didn't have to prepare any briefings, but you were told nothing else about the meeting. When you arrive, Bear, and this is what everyone will see as you arrive, it is a nondescript DC office complex. The room in particular you're told to report to is on the 5th floor. The building is leased to WeWork, and the floor itself, as you take the elevator up and step off, is empty. Its rooms stripped of all signifiers beyond beanbag chairs, exercise balls, and the freestanding bars of a late 20-teens quote-unquote hip office. You make your way down to the suite you were told to report to and find a conference room that is equally devoid of life. It houses only a bare plastic table, rolling chairs, and a flat screen TV. It isn't even carpeted. But you are the first to arrive, and there is no one currently in that office with you.
Like the whole office is empty?
It is.
Damn. So first off, Bear's been driving all night and probably hasn't had a chance to take a shower yet, so it probably smells pretty ripe. But he gets to the office, and when there's nobody there, he will probably wait a little bit, and then he'll go out and check, to see if this is the right place. Maybe he has. Are there offices like next to this where there are people?
So from what you can tell, there are other vehicles in the parking lot, and this is simply just the floor that is leased to this particular company. Now, WeWork is a company that essentially just rents out office space for folks to use. So it doesn't appear at this point that anybody has rented any of these offices for use. Either that, or someone just rented the entire office for the morning.
Okay.
You're not sure which is more disturbing or more concerning.
Yeah.
But you raise a good point. Because you've been driving through the night, go ahead and roll 1d6 for me.
1d6. That is a 5.
Deduct that much from your willpower, as you are now exhausted.
Damn. Wow. Okay. That was almost half my willpower.
Having driven all night, being relatively exhausted, being unsettled by the very sterile, impersonal, and decidedly empty, inactive office space, you just take time and kind of wander until you see someone?
Yeah, I would just wander around the office because it's an open office, right?
It is.
I mean, yeah, I'll do that. What do I see?
Not much, honestly. It's completely, again, very impersonal, right? So these are all very cheap furniture, very cheap chairs. They don't even have computers. It's usually docking stations, so folks can bring in their own laptops. and other personal devices and hook them up and work there in an office space as opposed to working from home. You don't see anyone though, but we'll get back to you.
All right.
Sarah, you arrive at this same nondescript office building in Washington, D.C. Do you just make your way inside?
Yeah, I think she just heads to the meeting place. She's probably a little bit more used to if it's empty, it's fine, people will get there. So she just heads in.
While you're in the elevator, in that very small window before the doors begin to close and the lift begins to move upwards, there's a hand that stops the door. And for the first time in 15 years, you see Dr. Caron. And Dr. Caron, likewise, for the first time in 15 years since that night, you see Sarah.
We didn't know that each other were coming, right? This would be new information.
This is entirely new. In fact, I need you both to roll sanity for me.
I was going to say, I think I might need to do some kind of check. Okay. Ooh, success.
Sarah, with a 47 out of 53, you lose nothing. And Leah, with a 13 out of 65, you also lose nothing. Nevertheless, relatively shaken, I would expect, by seeing each other after so long a time.
I think, like, Leah, it literally just, like, stares for a second, hand still in the elevator doorway until the elevator, like, beeps in protest and tries to move her in. And then she, like, kind of just, like, shuffles in, just being, like, looking at Daphne, or who she knew as Daphne, just not with confusion, but with kind of, like, a resignation.
Dr. Caron. Been a long time.
Agent Daphne.
She smiles a little bit, not like a happy smile, just like a, oh yeah, you never knew my name, because she hasn't been called Daphne in a very, very long time. So.
I guess you were also called into this then.
I was. If we're both here, I hate to think that it's the reason it's us.
She's kind of chewing on her lip and, like, looks straight at the elevator doors. I don't suppose you were told anything more than what we got?
No, but that's normal.
You kind of hear her swallow hard.
Yeah, I think Sarah is also just kind of awkwardly quiet, still mulling over this new information. And I think part of her, there's a very small part of her that hopes that this is just a weird coincidence. But I think mostly she knows that this has something to do with what they did before, if it's both of them here.
Yeah, I think Leah is just... You look all right.
Thanks. You too? Have you been doing much of this sort of work?
More on a consulting basis.
Yeah, me too.
There is that subtle electronic ding as the numbers in the elevator count slowly upwards. 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and finally stops on 5. And the doors slide open. And it's almost serendipity that when those doors slide open, Bear is shuffling down the hallway looking around, and you hear that elevator ding, Bear, and you look. And as the doors slide open, you're greeted by two faces that you have not seen in 15 years. I will also need you to roll sanity, please.
Oh, that's a 96 out of 50.
You lose 1 from helplessness as you feel your stomach drop out from underneath you. Seeing these people who you haven't seen since that night. How do you react? What do you say? What do you do?
Oh, shit. So that's what this is about. Man. I'm sorry. I it's not you. I never wanted to remember that night again.
Don't worry, I feel the same.
Your begins with a D, right?
Daphne.
Ah. What was my code name back then? I don't even remember.
We just called you Bear? Was that a code name?
I used my real name? Shit, that was one fucked up mission, wasn't it?
It was.
You guys know what this is about?
No, but I can assume it has something to do with that. I guess the question would be who else knows about it? Or who would know that all of us were involved?
I don't know how this whole thing works. Like, I'm pretty much a mushroom, you know. They just keep me in the dark and keep shoveling shit on top of me. But are they supposed to know?
Usually there's some kind of command, but ours was questionable looking back on it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't been on anything like that since.
For all of our sakes, if they don't know anything, we don't tell them at this point.
All right.
Daphne gives a little nod and then heads towards the room.
You all file in to the conference room. I'm assuming sit down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's another few minutes, much closer to 7 at this point, when the door opens and 2 individuals enter. The one leading the way, short and trim, fit for his age, but the bags under his eyes and his pale complexion make him look like somebody put the head of a 70-year-old on the body of a Golf Digest model. You, Daphne, recognize him. This is Tony, Anthony Pizzarelli. It's been years, maybe. Tell me, how do you know this man? What you know of him? He is the Assistant U.S. Attorney with the District of Maryland. Works for the Department of Justice. And for a time, you yourself were assigned to the Baltimore field office of the FBI, were you not?
Yep, sure was.
You recall having a positive but very brief relationship with him? Could be a friendship, could be anything. What do you think? What do you think the nature of that relationship was? And if you want time to think about it, feel free.
I mean, if it was back 15 years ago, I think at that point she was guarded but friendly. So it probably wasn't like, let's meet for drinks after this case or something like that. But it was like civil and got on friendly whenever they crossed paths.
Okay.
Because, I'm assuming I had no idea that he was involved in any of this level of stuff. And maybe he wasn't then, but he is now. So I think there's that moment of recognition. But if he's not going to say anything, she's not going to say anything. So there's a brief, what the fuck moment that crosses over her face, and then it passes.
It was a little deeper than that. Maybe, having been an agent with the Baltimore field office, maybe you even worked a case that he prosecuted, and maybe there were some late nights going over case file information. Maybe there was, drinks after work, lunches, working lunches, something. How would you say that relationship ended?
Abruptly, probably, when she, after this, that mission 15 years ago, when she just hightailed it up to Alaska and didn't speak to anyone. So, abruptly.
What would you say was the best part of that relationship, that friendship, that working acquaintance, however you want to define it?
I think there was some satisfaction that she had in working directly with someone. You said he was like the attorney, so like prosecuting the cases and everything, having someone that had some ability to resolve things when normally she had to let things go and just let the courts do the job, and she was no longer connected to things. So I think there was some sense of security in knowing the person who was going to be doing it and trusting them to do the right thing or, get justice and like all that stuff when she was still young and naive and believed that existed in the world.
So mutual respect for each other's professionalism.
Yeah, for sure.
For doing a very thankless and very difficult job and having to work hand in hand, because investigators have to work hand in hand with prosecutors. So probably developed a close working relationship, and you developed a healthy respect for how he was able to prosecute a case and bring it to conclusion. Likewise, he was probably impressed with your thoroughness and your investigative acumen, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. He does not greet anyone, and if you didn't know any better, Sarah, you wouldn't even think he recognized you. He's got a plastic water bottle with him that's full to the brim with what looks like cold brew coffee. He just sits at the end of the conference table. He grabs the remote and turns on the cable news, muted, and kicks his feet up on the table with his back facing the three of you. Tailing him is another individual. And Jack, if you would be so kind as to describe your character for us, please.
Yes, so they would see a young man in his late 20s, a little taller than average, but not much. He is very skinny and gaunt and has a pallid complexion. He's got that sort of shaggy, straight, thin brown hair that looks like it's been cut at a local Supercuts. It is neat, but it is not fashionable. Heavy bags under his eyes, and he's rather reserved as he walks in, kind of looking at the three of you. He is wearing the sort of standard issue FBI windbreaker, as well as like a white button down with a tie, but you'll notice that his neck is rather skinny, so the collar of the shirt seems to be a bit too large for him. He is also carrying a beverage, but it looks to be a Monster energy drink. But he takes a sip of it and just carefully sits down at the chair adjacent to Mr. Pizzarelli.
No introductions are made. No words are spoken by either Pizzarelli or his counterpart. The 7 o'clock news cycle starts, and Pizzarelli unmutes it. And immediately, all three of you, your attention is drawn to the ticker at the bottom. 56 bodies found at site of Maryland Youth Home. Does anyone say anything?
Not yet.
Not yet.
The news story begins to play. Long story short, 3 days ago, a Maryland state trooper drove to the site of what was once Cornucopia House and discovered a woman had been murdered there. And local wildlife had appeared to have dug up and disturbed a previously undiscovered grave. And subsequent investigation by law enforcement dug up even more graves, leading to the discovery of 56 total bodies to date so far.
Just to out of character refresh my memory, as far as the bodies that we got rid of, we didn't bury them, or at least not that number. So this would be beyond what our involvement was.
Correct.
To our recollection, how many children were there that were still alive?
Living. Make a int times 5 roll. 79 out of 85. You recall 19 living children. But Sarah, you distinctly remember. It's a flash of an intrusive thought, an intrusive memory of a young man who would later die by your hand, dragging a bundle down the hill towards this contraption, constructed of hair dryers and PVC pipe.
That's right. They'd been burying bodies for a long time.
Eventually, the news story cuts to commercial, and Pizzarelli, who you, Sarah, know as Pizzarelli, but for Bear and Leah, who you don't know this man, he mutes the television again. And a display of frustration kind of slides the remote across the table. He glares at the three of you, obviously angry. There's beads of sweat just on his scalp at his hairline. Anyone tell me why we're here? Anybody?
Adrian very slowly and almost awkwardly starts to raise his hand.
You shut the fuck up. These three.
At this point, Bear is desperately trying to make eye contact with either of the other two, but especially Daphne.
She is probably watching Tony, having known him before. She's trying to gauge how much he potentially knows before she starts talking.
Nobody. Okay. I'll explain why I'm here. I'm here because 10 days ago, some Florida shut-in ends up dead in her fucking trailer, half-eaten by swamp vermin, and the intrepid first responder somehow finds a bloody slip of paper containing all of your names, and he points at the three of you individually. And that address, he turns around and points at the television.
Who was the shut-in?
Ear fucking relevant at this point. Because 3 days ago, a Maryland state trooper drove to the site of that house and found that woman and those bodies. And then 2 days ago, our intelligence analysts, and you know who the fuck I'm talking about because I wouldn't be here if we didn't, noticed that your names were being flagged in the death investigations both in Florida and in Maryland. Can you understand my consternation?
I was just doing what they told me to do.
Just doing what they told. Okay. I got a phone call from the director himself. And he looks at you, Sarah. Not the bureau director either. The program director. And he gave me very explicit instructions that I am now going to relay to you. I've got to keep your names out of official reports and the news. Find out exactly what you and anyone else from the program had to do with this fucking mass grave, and determine if you and your activities pose a threat to this program. So question 1, what the fuck happened?
Were there 5 names or 3?
There were 5.
She takes like a deep breath and like rubs her temples and just, I think she knew that this would come back to bite her in the ass eventually, having not vetted Clove more carefully. We were assigned a job and we did the job. I thought we covered loose ends. Apparently we didn't, which is why I asked who that shut-in was. I have no idea how they would know our names. There was no one else who left that property alive.
We're still tracking down who the hell she was. But you're going to start at the beginning. You're going to tell me everything. And the question is, do you? We don't have to recap everything here. But most importantly, do you tell him everything?
Are these individual interviews or all of us at once?
Oh no, this is all of you at once. You are all in this room with this man and with this as of yet unidentified young agent.
I think Bear is just looking to Daphne and trying to figure out what he should do, hoping for any sort of direction. He's not going to say anything until she says something.
Leah, I think, is quiet for a second. Her mind's kind of racing, and I think everyone can kind of see that as she's thinking through, like, how in the hell this could have happened. Because there was always a kind of undercurrent of something being wrong the last time this happened. Of something being off. Not necessarily wrong, but, like, things have been too easy.
I have a question. Would it be reasonable that I would still have the folder that Clove gave me 15 years ago?
I believe you destroyed that in the car.
Okay, I couldn't remember if we destroyed it with everything or if we didn't. Okay, gotcha.
I would say, Daphne, you would know to destroy that folder, and keeping it would be a significant risk.
Yeah, there wasn't really a specific reason for her at that point to think that she might need it again. True. Okay, that's fair. She would give a very flat-faced, just the needed information, not like going into any gory details or anything like super descriptive, but just very brief to the point. This is what happened, and this was our involvement. And then probably that they lost 2 other people while on the job, and those are probably the 2 other names that were on that list.
Well, that's question 1. Question 2, now that every news outlet, politician, and law enforcement agency is braying for blood, why the fuck shouldn't I just feed you to them?
The only thing connecting us to that place is just that slip of paper with names on it. None of us have been back there in 15 years.
Attracts a lot of unnecessary attention to the program, though, doesn't it? And, Dr. Caron, I'm curious, would this have anything to do with those inquiries you were making about Moscow and the Chesapeake?
Those didn't go anywhere, did they?
Not for lack of trying.
You tried. They tried.
Someone else took care of it. Other elements. But it was always one big unresolved question while you were asking around about that particular community. This explains a lot. Now my third and final question is, whatever happened, why would you 3 be so stupid as to not bring it up when you were read into the program?
I mean, nobody ever asked.
He just stares at you, Bear.
Because it wasn't an official mission. And I only found that out after we were done.
Well, folks, I've got one priority. Protect the program. Like it or not, you 3 have been tied to the program through your work over the years. Your implication in a crime of this magnitude could expose dozens of operations to follow-up investigation, maybe even tracing back to before there was even a fucking program for me to be pissed off about. I am not about to risk exposing additional personnel to this liability. That is why it is up to you three and Special Agent Selivanov here.
Selivanov, sir.
My apologies, Agent Selivanov. That is why it is up to you four to clean up this mess.
Hi.
I mean, what is there to clean up?
Agent Hart, would you be so kind as to explain to now Special Agent Swenson what there is to clean up here?
We're tied to a mass grave. Our names specifically.
Yeah, but I know I get that, but I mean, what are we supposed to do? I mean, it's already in the news.
It was also hushed up very quickly last time. We should make that happen again.
As your lawyer, Assistant U.S. Attorney Anthony Pizzarelli, by the way, not at all a pleasure to meet any of you. As your lawyer, my advice is this. You either bury this, or you get buried with it.
Program isn't known for second chances. Why are you talking to us? Why aren't we already dead?
Assets are assets. I need you to make an N times 5 roll for me, please, Sarah.
Okay. Cami the player does not believe that.
I don't believe it either.
Nor should you.
Success.
78 out of 80. Beautiful. Logically, Sarah, considering the severity of this situation and what you just said, the only reason that you all aren't dead or in jail is because Pizzarelli harbors some benefit of the doubt for you. It is very clear that he went to bat against his superiors for someone with whom he used to be close, and possibly a source of this very extreme anger and frustration is due in no small part to a little bit of resentment.
She gives like a knowing nod, like understanding that she would be dead if he wasn't the guy that was on this.
And with that realization, I do need you to make a sanity roll.
Okay. Oh, success.
35 out of 53. You lose nothing. Let's hope these rolls keep going.
You know, well, fingers crossed.
This is what we need to know. We need to know what state and local investigations were conducted back in 2001. We need to know if there's any loose ends that put you, and by proxy the program, at risk of exposure. You need to find this information and you need to scrub your involvement from it before outside investigators discover it. We need to figure out what happened to the kids that you freed. Not all of them are toddlers. Did any of them report any details about you that put us at risk of exposure? Destroy any paper trails. And then we've got to figure out how in the fuck a deputy from bumfuck Florida got your names and the details of Maryland in the first place.
Actually, I don't think I clarified. Did he have Daphne or did he have my real name?
Do you ask him that?
Yeah, I asked him which name of mine was on the list.
Both.
There's very few people that would know.
Believe me, we are well aware.
I mean, there's potentially another leak beyond just us that we need to account for. So if you get the name of that shut-in, we need it.
Crystal Killian. It's the only name we have.
Does that ring any bells?
Does not.
Okay.
Listen, we're already on the back foot with this. I don't need you going to Florida just yet, but you need to get to Maryland. You need to get to this house. You need to get to this site. You need to figure out exactly what's going on. You need to get the ground truth. And you need to start cleaning this up. Do not run. You, I would expect, no better than to try that. And do not fucking lie to me. Agent Selivanov.
Selivanov, sir.
My apologies, Agent Selivanov is going to ensure that you don't lie to me. He's a supremely qualified agent. He excels in digital forensics. He will be an asset to your team. But you four need to make this right. You need to tell the full truth. You need to help us shape the narrative. Regardless of what happened, that will make you useful assets in pursuit of our goals. You have a future, should you make it right.
Mr. Pizzarelli?
Yes.
Am I expected to go with them now?
All of you, including you, are assigned a working group masticate. And he hands out 4 manila folders.
Adrian will scoop up the little folder and start to unwrap it or open it.
Yeah, I open mine as well.
Inside, for all of you, are Maryland driver's licenses, social security cards, and fictional tax records for the past 7 years, along with fictional work and educational histories. For those of you who are federal agents, so Adrian, Gerrald, and Sarah, you find credentials for your respective agencies in those false names. Dr. Caron, you find a few business cards in that name identifying you as an investigator with the United States Attorney's Office in the District of Maryland. And Pizzarelli speaks up. For the purposes of this operation, you're assigned to my office. Dr. Caron, you're a consultant on contract with the federal government. These IDs will fall apart under any in-depth scrutiny. So, all the better to avoid raising a fucking stink. And you all can choose your false names if you would like, by the way. We have a team of specialists on the ground right now from Harvard to help you process and study the remains that are being dug up. The team leaders have worked with us before, but they aren't fully briefed. So be careful not to reveal anything new to them. Are we understood?
Understood.
Yes, sir.
He slides across another folder, this one containing the names and identifying information for the Harvard team, as well as a rough timeline of events that have led to this very meeting. So the Harvard team consists of Dr. Monique Grace, Dr. Tim Campbell, and Dr. Melinda Ruiz, supported by 6 grad students, again, all from Harvard. Only Dr. Grace and Dr. Campbell have any previous affiliation with the program. Dr. Ruiz and the grad students have not been previously connected to or worked with the program.
Do we know if Dr. Grace and Dr. Campbell are agents or are they just friendlies?
They are just friendlies.
Okay.
If you need resources, call me. If you go AWOL, I tell my bosses, and security will take it from there. Do everything in your power to avoid attracting further attention. Bottom line, when we walk out of here, we need someone to pin the blame on this. And it cannot be us. It cannot be the federal government. Blame the locals, blame the state, blame whoever the fuck you need to. As long as that blowback isn't on us. I need you to determine if the investigation from 2001 turned up anything that puts you, and by proxy again, the program, at risk today. I need you to find out what they're digging up at that site. And if it in any way has any connection to what we do here, you need to make it disappear. I need you to track down what happened to those kids. And I need you to find out how a woman ended up nailed to a storage facility door with her head smashed open. Can I make that any clearer?
No, Crystal.
I'll leave you to it. My number is in that folder. Call me, preferably from a fucking burner. Remember your tradecraft. I expect regular updates. And with that, Pizzarelli leaves.
Adrian's eyes catch his as he leaves the office, and he kind of like watches Pizzarelli leave before turning back to the others and looking at the can of Monster on the table, and goes to drink it and then realizes it's empty and just sort of awkwardly sets it back down.
Right before Pizzarelli leaves, as that door is open, he turns back to look at you, Sarah. And he gives a slight shake of his head before walking out and shutting the door behind him. As you go to lower that monster, Adrian, you're startled by a sudden smack. This loud impact that sends reverberations through the plate glass of the window behind you. You all, I presume, turn to look.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Birds of different species flying into the window of this 5th floor conference room in rapid succession. 1, 2, 3, 4. Leah, you have skill in biology, do you not?
Yeah.
There is no natural reason that those birds should be flocking in such proximity, as some of them have both predator and prey relationships. But it's clear that they have completely destroyed their heads and necks by flying at such high speed into this glass, and there are streaks of crimson down it, resembling tally marks. 4 of them. I need everyone to roll sanity for me, please.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Success.
Success.
Just barely.
I killed it.
Yeah, meets it, beats it. You all lose nothing.
I think Sarah does have a moment, since she was previously attacked by a bird, where she like subconsciously kind of touches her head where she was previously scratched up by, I think, a crow 15 years ago.
I think Leah is walking over to the window, not quite up close to it, but like looking at it and then down at the corpses of the birds that probably fell down 5 floors. That's not ominous at all.
You're being facetious, right?
I'm being sarcastic. How did you say your name again?
Selivanov.
Selivanov. I'll try to remember. Unless we have other names we want to call each other.
I was just gonna say, are we using our own names on this? Well, no.
No.
Well, my ID, and he sort of like fumbles through his folder. It's such a douchebag name. Daniel Black.
I mean, I got Sam Doyle. Oh, is that a douchebag name?
Sound kind of like a sailor.
Yeah, I do.
And all this time that Adrian's talking, his eyes have not left the window, aside from when he looked down at the ID. And he's just watching the streaks of blood trickle down the cracked glass. Have you guys ever seen anything like that before?
Once, 15 years ago.
Not quite like that.
I think it was a dog.
A stag ran into my car.
You haven't been scratched up by any sort of animal recently, have you?
No, I mean, I've got a cat at home. Lucky, but he's cool.
Well, we knew this was coming. Anyways, so we need to go to this site and figure out exactly what happened.
I've got a question. Like, how exactly are we supposed to do this? I'm a fucking weapons instructor from Georgia, for Christ's sake.
What were you 15 years ago when we did this?
State trooper.
You do it the same way then.
Well, with all due respect, I'd suggest maybe not doing it the same way, since you all did it incorrectly the last time.
We didn't have direction. And none of us were this involved with the program at that time.
That was no judgment on my part, just a factual statement. I am here to help as much as I can. I'm with Hart. My expertise is mainly in computers, electronics, mostly computers though.
Okay, he seems smart.
And I don't mean any offense by this either, but do you all know how to use a computer?
Daphne like holds back a laugh. She just smiles.
I mean, I can change my password. Sometimes. Sometimes I have to call the help desk.
Well, as I mentioned, I'm with the computer analyst response team with the FBI, and well, I guess I'm sort of like the what do you call it? And he sort of starts to drift off back towards the window.
Looks like you're that mark right there on the window, man.
What?
There's 4 of them. That one's yours.
Perhaps we should get out of the office and get on the road.
Yeah. Who's driving? Oh, shit. You guys aren't going to want to drive with me in the car.
Why?
I've been driving all night. You can't smell me from there?
I could, but I didn't want to be rude, though.
Oh.
I don't drive.
I drive, but I figured while we were on the road, I could look up some information on this Crystal Killian and maybe some of the other information about this site that was found. Maybe just dig up whatever I can on the way there.
Well, I will go rent a car under the name of, and she pulls out her ID, her fake one, Miriam Rhodes, and I guess I will drive.
This is your third name, isn't it?
Sure.
She probably has too many.
Well, I know that you have Sarah, and that you are also called Daphne.
Yep. She just kind of looks at him, kind of like, she senses that he's just like saying facts and not like angling for some kind of deeper thing, but she's not going to go into any more detail than just, yep.
I will call you Miriam. Or Agent Rhodes.
Sure. Whatever you like.
And Dr. Caron, what is your name now?
Wow. Jane Smith.
No offense, but you don't look like a Jane Smith.
My parents could have been eclectic. It's fine. They weren't being very creative. Shall we?
Yes.
I think while they're driving, Leah is going to be on her phone, looking up just the general news and seeing exactly what's showing around and how far it's spread.
Okay.
Yeah, I will go get a car, and I'm also going to ask that Adrian or Dan, whichever he prefers, if he can dig up anything in the program about an Agent Clove.
The programs, they do their best to keep things pretty tightly locked up. Do you have anything else to go off of other than just a name?
She was part of a C group. She was the one that initially gave me the folder and the information for this job. It was afterwards that I realized she had not gotten clearance to do it. If she's still out there somewhere, she's a loose end we need to tie up.
He doesn't say anything back, but he does sort of like raises his eyebrow and nods. And...
So you all have about an hour and 45, 2-hour drive to Zion, Maryland. I'm assuming you're going to be going straight to Cornucopia House.
Yeah, that makes sense. We might split up from there. I don't know.
Okay. Well, for the time being, we've got folks, it sounds like, doing some research. So, Adrian, what were you starting off with?
I wanted to find out more about Crystal Killian, any kind of history, maybe see if there's any connection to her in Maryland or anything like that.
So it'll pretty much take you the bulk of the time that you're driving up there, or being driven up there. But what you're able to find is that Crystal had a birth certificate and social security number issued in Alaska in 1982, indicating that she was around 34 years old at the time of her death. There are no job history or tax records before 2008, when she took her one and only job at Florida Southwestern State College as a library assistant.
Interesting. And do we know who issued the identification in Alaska?
The state issued the driver's license, so it was an Alaska driver's license, an Alaskan hospital in Anchorage that issued the birth certificate, as well as the Social Security office in Anchorage for the Social Security card.
Yeah, but she would have had to have had some kind of documentation, right, in order to get those things issued to her, no?
I mean, if she was born there, her parents would just have to go to the hospital, and the hospital issues they go through the motions, get the birth certificate issued, and then use that said birth certificate to get the Social Security number. That's about it.
And does she have any family listed?
Not without further digging.
Can I dig?
Not with the amount of time you got.
I'll just stay in the car then. All right.
Who else was doing research?
Bear's gonna drive. Bear's not very good at research.
Are you all taking one car or two cars?
I was thinking we were just going to take one car.
Okay.
Yeah, and Bear's gonna leave his car in the parking lot of this place if it looks like that's a reasonable thing to do.
Yeah.
So we'll need to transfer Bear's stuff to the trunk of the car.
So then would Sarah let Bear drive, or would that be a discussion?
I mean, I don't think she cares one way or the other. He's used to long hours on the road, she assumes. So if he feels strongly, she can do some research as well.
Yeah, I think Bear doesn't want to have to think about this.
That's fair.
Okay, then I guess I will look if I can find anything about Clove through any of the channels I have access to.
How do you go about doing that? Do you call Pizzarelli and ask him to look?
That'll be my last ditch effort. I want to try to not bother him.
So the program has no central accessible database through which to look for or pull information down. It's really just a matter of reaching back to usually your case officer and seeing if they can work their connections and their channels to try to obtain that information from DO.
Yeah, if I can remember who my case manager was at that time, because I'm assuming she's not active anymore, would be my assumption, because I don't think... She just doesn't get the sense that she seemed unsettled and impulsive at the end of their conversation, so I don't think she's alive. So I might reach out to some of my older contacts and kind of bring up like, what is it, like C-Cell or C-Group or whatever, and see the status on any of their members. They can find them.
Ooh, it has been so long that you're not even going to have that information anymore. In fact, your operation as Daphne was your last connection to those people and those groups before you never heard from them again. And you didn't hear from anybody even remotely connected to Delta Green until your recruitment into the program. You've got one case officer now, and that's Anthony Pizzarelli.
All right, then I'll bug him. I'll give him the name. I don't think I mentioned Clove when I first brought everything up, so I will mention Clove now.
Well, so I assumed you did when you gave him the rundown of what happened at Cornucopia House, how you got the operation. I actually think you did name drop Clove.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Either whether now or then or now, yeah. So just, she's a loose end. She seemed unstable. If you can find any information on her, we'll tie that up while we're at it.
We've got no records from that time. Anything before 2001, everything was... let's just say record keeping was shoddy, if non-existent. I'll ask around, I'll see what I can find, but I wouldn't hold your breath.
All right, that's fair. Thanks.
I'll remind you, though, she's not your priority. Not here, not now.
She's the only one I can think of that would have our names.
Well, I've got her name now. You let me worry about that. You take care of what's going on there in Maryland.
All right, will do.
All right. Anything else? Any discussions? Any talks on the way up?
To our knowledge, the children, their records were sealed up tight.
They were, correct.
Like there was no any like inquiries into them was heavily frowned upon at the time, and they were sent into the foster system basically.
Right.
It's going to be nigh impossible to try to get that information unless.
Question though, given that when you are put into foster care, there is at least rudimentary physical descriptives, and given what I can find out about Crystal Killian, can I cross-reference to see if she matches, even vaguely, any of the kids that were saved from Cornucopia House?
Oh, that's a good thought.
Do you have a picture? Can we see it?
You're gonna have to do some more digging.
Okay.
And I will say, Pizzarelli made it clear that Florida is not your priority right now. So if you all want to keep pushing down the Florida path, feel free. He's not going to be happy.
I mean, we're just on our way to Maryland, so it's just while we're there.
It's a longest drive.
I'm kind of just reading through these documents you gave. Would it be possible to ask Pizzarelli to just provide us with their information is mentioned in these documents, to just provide us with that information? So Eckstein calls Wilmington University and inquires as to the existence of a Cornucopia House, and so he got information back, right?
The address for Cornucopia House.
That's all he got back?
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just thinking maybe it might, just to see the documents, because maybe there's not a lot else. Maybe I'm reading more into it than I think.
Yeah. So, something to consider as well, right? Back in 2001, when you all were called in on this, and we had Father Alvarado doing some research, we had Bobby doing some research. You all dug up a bunch of information on Families Without Frontiers and on Cornucopia House itself. You honestly know more than probably anybody alive right now.
We do know a lot. We also know there was some information that Leah had discovered during her long time, during the 15 years that she had passed on to the program.
Correct.
I think she will take that time to explain now what she had found to the rest of them about the cult and about the connection between what the fuck was her name?
Yelena Kalamatiano?
Yeah, and that Moscow cult.
Yeah, Moscow on the Chesapeake with the Skopzi.
She'll explain that to the rest of them just to give them some more background about what they had actually faced there. And say, going to the site will actually might be able to give us more information about what we're dealing with, because there were 19 children already on that property. And there was, how many adults?
4 total.
4 total adults, 4 of them who are dead, and then plus the 2 bodies of Alvarado and Bobby.
And don't forget, you all disposed of Bobby's head, hands, and feet, so identification is probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
But Father Alvarado was left very much intact.
Well, I mean,
Well.
debatable.
Well, somewhat intact.
His head, hands, and feet were intact, is what you meant to say.
His head, hands, and feet were remained in place. Yes, they were not removed.
Yeah, because Bobby had been liquefied. Along with Babushka, both of them got liquefied.
Were there any other that you could tell when you did your investigation? Were there any other chapters of this cult or any evidence that there might be small communities that still follow those kind of beliefs?
Not to your recollection, Dr. Caron.
I kind of gave the information to the program because I would not have been able to do anything on my own. If I had tried, I think I would have just disappeared. Probably horrendously tortured.
So I'm going to actually pivot from Crystal for right now. Don't think I've forgotten.
Oh, I don't.
But I do want to know what Maryland Correction Store Unit 3 was being used for.
Ah, okay. And I will say also, Adrian, in addition to what you were able to find through federal records, it wouldn't have been much to follow the rabbit trail down to state records. And I mean, that's a quick check for you with the databases you have access to. From what you can see, apart from the birth certificate, the social security number, the lack of job history, the lack of tax records before 2008 when she took that job at the college as a library assistant. As far as Florida is concerned, she had no listed assets, no car, and no driver's license. Never voted in any election, was not registered to vote, and rented her trailer at Myers Point, which is where her body was found. And it looked like she took the bus to work.
Yeah, I mean, I would want to see, if I could find a picture of her.
I'll give you that. There are none that you're able to find online or in any federal database. If she does have a social media presence, it is utterly indistinguishable from dozens of other Crystal Killians in Florida. So without further information, it's hard to even figure out if you have the right Crystal Killian or kind of narrow it down.
But would I be able to access local autopsy photos?
So that's still in progress.
Okay, got it. Then yeah, if I knew it was in progress, then I would table that and then kind of focus on what the correction storage unit 3 was being used for.
Beautiful. Okay. So what you're able to determine, it doesn't take very long at all. It's all publicly available at this point, is that the land previously occupied by Cornucopia House was seized in 2008 when neither a will nor heirs could be produced for Yelena Calamatiano, who obviously was found dead. So Maryland deeded the acreage to a state prison to be built on the site. The construction of the prison was delayed for years, thanks to lawsuits from neighbors around that unincorporated community of Zion, who obviously were desperate not to have their property values tainted by a prison and, all the halfway houses, bail bond companies, payday lenders, and cheap motels that come with it. So after acquiring the rest of the property, the state worked out zoning and tax arrangements with Cecil County, and Zion Correctional Facility opened in 2010. The state bulldozed the remains of the farm and replaced it with a prefabricated warehouse to store surplus furniture, books, and office supplies. From what you're able to tell, the prison itself houses over 800 inmates, minimum security all the way up to maximum, in 10 buildings, plus a couple of administration buildings and a detached storage facility. It's surrounded by multiple layers of security fencing and never less than 500 yards of forest separated from the outside world. There's one road, always locked and always guarded, leading in and out, and the old utility trail that you all actually ended up taking to the site was shut down long ago.
There's only one way up there. But I imagine with our identification, it shouldn't be too difficult to at least get an audience with whoever's in charge there now, if that's something that we want to pursue.
I mean, what are we going to say we're doing? We're here to investigate it too? I mean...
Yes.
Yeah, if it wasn't made clear, Pizzarelli has said that the Department of Justice and the FBI have essentially assumed some form of investigative primacy over this.
Wait, are we officially, like, we can use Pizzarelli's name and say that we're here? I mean, can we take over the investigation?
You can attempt to do so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, you're there to essentially monitor and consult, and if need be, take federal control of the course of the investigation. Yeah. How easy that's going to be remains to be determined.
And also our identification won't hold up underwater.
That's the other piece.
It's all fake IDs. It's not our actual identification or our actual credentials, especially since we're actually connected to the case. So we also have to change the way we look.
Handler's note, that will not be necessary. But you did raise a good point. Roll in times 5 for me.
65 out of 85.
You know that if they start digging into those false IDs and find out who you really are, and they then discover that these people with these names who are connected to this crime scene are now poking around and trying to control the narrative of the investigation, if that were to happen, you will be fed to the wolves.
Agent Rhodes, this isn't your first time in the field like this. I mean, do you have any recommendations, any kind of approach that you think is best here? And he slurps on another Monster Energy drink.
We're here to consult. Don't try to bully your way into authority. Some people can get pretty territorial when it comes to this sort of thing. So we're just here to help. We don't want to give them any reason to call our bosses or to look at our IDs or to look us up in a database or anything like that. So they know that there's a possibility that we're coming and we are there to help. Let's keep it that way for as long as we have to.
I probably should mention I don't have a lot of field experience. I tend to stick behind the desk.
How did you get involved in this?
I guess I'm a little nosy. When all this went down, well, I got hits, and I got curious and started digging. And now we're here. Well, now I'm here.
Well, you've learned now that curiosity can kill the cat.
Thankfully, I'm not a cat.
Can I just very briefly look into Father Alvarado and just see in the last 15 years what kind of mention there has been of him, what his unfortunate legacy that we created for him has done?
Ooh, okay. What's your computer science score at?
70.
Okay. Are you trying to dig into non-public records, or are you just looking to see what's public out there?
Start with public. If I get the sense that there's maybe something more, I'll look for non-public stuff.
Okay. With that, you're easily able to find a very public obituary for Father Alvarado that was published by his associates at Georgetown. It's very succinct, very short, and very to the point. And from what you remember about the sparse details you were able to pull about the investigation back when you were first brought back into the program, it's clear that whatever shadow he died under and what the official explanation was, they just needed to put something out, and so they kept it short and to the point.
Got it. Okay. I guess if I have time, I'll do a little bit more digging and see if there's anything off the record that I can find.
Nothing with what you have access to currently. It doesn't look like anything from that time was digitized. From what you can tell and remembering who was in charge, which was the Maryland State Police, the very people that you're probably going to be interacting with here soon are probably going to be able to provide some insight into that.
Gotcha. And then is Bobby Gleekman just listed as a missing person?
Yeah, reported missing and then reported dead officially 7 years after the fact, as they were never able to find a body.
Okay, cool.
So are we heading to Cornucopia House?
Yeah, I think that's the first stop.
Yeah, we can at least kind of get a lay of the land and then assess what our next steps are.
You eventually pull off from the interstate, start taking these side roads into this unincorporated community of Zion. And you pull up to the outskirts of the prison to Maryland Correction Storage Unit 3, which is this warehouse that's in the shadow of Zion Correctional Facility. It's not within the fence line on the property itself, but close enough. And you can already see that this scene is bustling. It is overwhelming. You've got state and county police, you've got the county coroner, you've got the state forensics office, you've got FBI forensics, you've got Harvard, all of them all over the scene. You've got press outside the cordon, all clamoring for some kind of glimpse of what's going on within the perimeter, all clamoring for some kind of statement. A very tired-looking patrol officer with the Cecil County Sheriff's Office working the crime scene entry point. It is just an absolute cacophony and just absolute chaos when you show up. There are yellow and white tents dotting the property. The grass itself is festooned with evidence markers, tools, photographic equipment. You can see technicians in coveralls and surgical masks huddling around dozens of these cordoned off rectangles that stretch all the way into the trees, carefully excavating, documenting, removing remains to processing centers. There's stadium lights surrounding the area in this wide perimeter. You can see dogs, cadaver dogs, sniffing and working through the scene. You can see technicians working ground-penetrating radar, looking for anything and everything, any sign of another body that will inevitably have to be unearthed. But you pull up.
I would think it'd be a good idea to talk to the Harvard team first, see if there's any more information they can give us.
Well, you pull up to the crime scene entry point, and there's a young officer there, obviously documenting everyone who's coming in, checking their law enforcement credentials, signing them into a log, and then permitting them entry. Who was the first to approach?
I guess I can take lead if no one else jumps at the opportunity. I'll just get my ID out and approach the checkpoint.
Name?
Agent Miriam Rhodes.
FBI, okay. And he'll go through and kind of confirm everybody's identification with their face. And as he's doing this, two individuals kind of catch sight of you and begin approaching from within the cordon, making their way towards the entry point. The first one is a woman probably in her late 30s, taller than you would expect. Probably pushing 6 foot, maybe over. She is wearing a Maryland State Police windbreaker, and with her is another man who's probably in his early 30s, so a little bit younger. Would probably be handsome, if not for this brown handlebar mustache he insists on wearing. He's got these cargo khakis, a polo shirt branded with the Cecil County Sheriff's Office logo, and he's actually got his Kevlar vest on over the outside with his badge hanging over it. The only thing missing is the mirrored aviators, but they approach you, and it's the woman that is the first to speak. Yeah, hi, I'm Detective Sergeant Almadina Velasquez with Maryland State Police. Who are you?
Federal Agent Daniel Black, FBI.
Oh, so you all are with the Bureau team that we were told to expect.
Yes.
Nice of you to join us. This is, and the man immediately steps forward before she can introduce him. Yeah, I'm Deputy Michael Costa. I'm with the Criminal Investigations Division for Cecil County Sheriff's Office. How you doing?
Could be better given circumstances. What do we have going on?
Oh shit, probably better to ask what we don't have going on, you know. And Sarah, actually, can you make an Int x5 roll for me?
Sure. Success.
Yeah, 53 out of 80. Okay. So you recall that name, Almadina Velasquez, stirs a memory in you. You seem to recall, especially at the end there, when you were doing some extracurricular digging, monitoring the news for any reports of what had happened at Cornucopia House about at least what the official story of the investigation ended up being. But you recall that the two state detectives, whose names you can't 100% recall with any detail, but hearing the name Almadina Velasquez, you remember that she was a very young state trooper at the time assigned to assist the two lead investigators for the case.
Like 15 years ago when everything first came out.
Correct.
Okay. Noted.
Was that the follow-up investigation, or?
So that would have been the state police investigation after the fire had been reported, and then the
Okay,
body.
after the fire. Got it.
Almedina at this point speaks up. Well, there's a lot. You tell us where you want to start, and we'll be more than happy to facilitate. I simply ask that as I suppose the lead team here, you keep the Maryland State Police, me, in the loop on all of your investigative decisions. I want to sign off on any and all press releases related to this case, and I want to assist as a liaison for the state of Maryland.
That's reasonable. We can do that.
Very good.
What have you got with the victim? Any ID yet?
Your Harvard team, they haven't done a forensic examination of the body yet, but we did identify her.
Would you actually be able to point me in the direction of Dr. Grace?
Yeah, actually, she's in the same spot as our victim.
Thank you. And Adrian's going to just sort of nod and shuffle on over in that direction.
And she'll lead you. I think, Sarah, your human's pretty high. What's your human score again?
It is 80.
They're not letting you go anywhere by yourself. They're going to be with you the entire time. But Velasquez and Costa kind of take you and begin leading you through the site. And it's a lot. It's not uncommon to see a grown man weeping behind a decontamination tent, or a technician smoking sullenly as they stare into the middle distance with this 1,000-yard gaze. You hear occasional raised voices and screaming matches shattering the tomb-like silence. There's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of emotional exhaustion. It's quite a bit. The warehouse itself that you pass on your way has been enveloped in this enormous inflatable canvas, exactly kind of like the ones you would see for a residential fumigation. And there's a prefabricated decontamination trailer sewn into the front entrance. Velasquez and Costa lead you to this industrial refrigeration truck that's adjacent to the tent. And it's here that the Harvard team, according to Velasquez, has kind of set up work, and where they're currently storing the body of their victim that was found nailed to the front garage door of the storage unit. As you go up, Almedina knocks on the door, and the door opens, and a woman steps out. Yes, Detective Velasquez, what can I do for you? Is this our federal team? And she'll step out and extend a gloved hand. First, she takes the glove off and extends her now ungloved hand to you. Dr. Monique Grace, I'm with the Harvard team. I believe I was told to expect you.
Yes, you are.
I'm guessing you all will want to take a look at the body.
Among other things, yes. And you see that Adrian is just sort of like, he's trying to present this sort of air of bureaucratic confidence, but his eyes keep darting over to Agent Daphne, and as if to like make sure he's doing it right.
She'll give like a very subtle nod.
Okay, come on in. Any of you a medical doctor here to maybe do an autopsy?
I have some experience in the medical field. I can help with the autopsy.
Okay, yeah, come on in. And it's a tight fit, but as you all step inside, there's a corkboard that's been set up by Maryland State Police displaying the crime scene photos of the body as it was found. There's also this plasma screen smartboard, and it appears to display the fingerprints of the victim and an identification of the victim, Carrie Houghton.
Out of character, does that name ring any bells to the three?
Oh, 100%. That's your social worker.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I knew she'd be involved again, motherfucker.
And it also looks like there's a minimized tab on the screen depicting the frozen playback from what looks like surveillance camera footage.
I'm actually here with Hart. Would I be able to look over some of the footage just to assess it?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Please feel free. It's a touch screen. You can stop, start, play, and rewind to your heart's content, although one viewing was more than enough for us.
Thank you for the warning. And he'll nod at Investigator Smith and the others, and he will approach. And is there I know that you said it's like a touchscreen, but is it like attached to like a laptop or something, or?
Yes, it is attached to a computer, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think you would probably try to go to the computer itself, if possible.
I will say this is a separate processing area outside of that refrigerated truck where the body is maintained. This tent itself is kind of on the outside, but it's almost like an investigative hub for the murder site at the storage unit. Not necessarily for the processing of the bodies that have been pulled out from the rest of the property. This is strictly set aside for the murder that occurred at the storage unit itself, if that makes sense.
It does. And I think for him, his cover is the reason he's not using the touchscreen is because he doesn't want to like re-traumatize the team. And so he's trying to have a discrete viewing of any kind of footage or photographic evidence that's on that laptop.
You're able to kind of reroute the display from the smart screen just to the monitor on the computer to avoid that re-traumatization. And of course, one of the first things up is the fingerprints that are used to identify Miss Houghton. And you can see that they essentially made that ID by cross-referencing her fingerprints with her 1997 Maryland Child Protective Services background check. But apart from that, and apart from looking at the footage, what is the rest of the team doing? We've got Bear, Sarah, and Dr. Caron.
I think Leah will definitely go investigate the body. She was the one who actually encountered Carrie Houghton.
What about you, Sarah?
I think I will hang back and observe just for right now. I'm going to kind of be more observing the rest of the people that are here and just, I don't know. I want to keep my eye on everyone on the scene for any odd behavior.
Okay, fair enough. What about you, Bear?
I think Bear, if it's all right with Daphne, he's going to look to see if he can track down the people who were first on the crime, the people who found the body, and if not, to get a hold of their accounts, like if they're not available now.
Yeah, she's not going to stop anyone from doing anything, so go for it. Within reason.
All right, cool.
You mind if I go with you there, Agent? What was it again? What was your name? And that's Costa talking to you, Bear.
You can just call me Sam.
Sam, yeah, good to meet you. You can call me Deputy Costa. No, I'm just fucking with you, man. You can call me Mike. You mind if I tag along?
No, of course. I mean, are these people here?
Last I checked, I think they checked out for the day. It's been a long one for them. But I can get those reports for you.
All right. I'll look at those.
All right, right on. Let me follow me. We'll go get those for you. For those who are looking at the body of Carrie Houghton, I need everybody to make a sand test.
Bear probably wouldn't.
Yeah, if you're on your way out, so it's really going to be between Sarah and Leah because Adrian is nose deep in the surveillance footage.
39 out of 70.
You lose nothing.
There it is, 60 out of 53.
Yeah, Sarah, you lose 1 from violence. The condition of this body is shocking. Leah, as you begin your examination, it's going to take a few hours minimum. The body suffered violent puncture wounds on the hands and above the collarbone, presumably made by the bloody chisels and screwdrivers that have been placed on a nearby tray. Pliers and a garden mattock are also among the murder weapons. Her teeth were removed. The head of the mattock, which is essentially like a pickaxe, was used to pry her lower jaw off. And the pressure from this procedure was presumably what caused her eyeballs to burst. Your examination determines that she died from a combination of shock and suffocation on her own blood. The lividity of bruising on the temples and her torso indicate that she was likely beaten and dragged against her will from a separate location. There are faint scrapes on the tops of her toes indicating she was dragged to the sitting position against the building before being pinned to the garage door of the warehouse. She was pinned using chisels and screwdrivers, a flathead through the left wrist, a Phillips screwdriver through the right hand, and a chisel through the left shoulder. The force required to do this, while she struggled, suggests multiple assailants. The broken nose, the missing hair, the bruising on her brow indicate that her head was held back after she was pinned, and then her teeth were removed, and it was at this point that she began to aspirate on her own blood. The process would have been extremely loud, and the lack of response fits the time of death in the isolated location. Her back molars were more broken off than pulled, and then to get the rest of the teeth, the killers used the mattock to sever the jaw ligaments and separate the jaw while Houghton was still alive. The rip in the flesh between the second and third right metacarpals likely occurred as the victim struggled against this final attack. It's unclear how long Houghton survived. Cardiac arrest could have occurred shortly after the removal of her jaw, or asphyxiation may have come quickly as blood poured down her windpipe and into the lungs while the victim tried to scream. The strength required for the violence suggests young, healthy assailants. Now, what is your forensics at, Leah?
50.
This is what's particularly odd to you. Her body shows no sign whatsoever of insect damage. She was killed between 2 and 3 a.m. on Friday, 19th August 2016, and found at 7 p.m. the same day, which means her body was undiscovered in the August heat for 17 hours. So the lack of damage from insects is extremely bizarre. Now, what is your medicine or surgery? Whichever's higher.
Medicine 60, surgery 70.
You go about conducting the autopsy under the watchful eye of Dr. Grace and with assistance from Dr. Campbell. You go about performing the autopsy itself, and you find, as you remove the brain, that there is a significant anomaly involving that brain. Under a microscope, it appears that she was suffering from serious glial scarring, which is, for all intents and purposes, a precursor to dementia. It's widespread enough that had the symptoms of dementia not yet manifested, they soon would have. The brain damage doesn't appear to be from a common disease like multiple sclerosis, nor does anything in her medical history indicate cardiovascular issues or any other signs of early onset Alzheimer's. In your training and experience, Dr. Caron, the damage is most consistent with chronic traumatic encephalopathy, essentially traumatic brain injury. Her medical history does not include any treatment for head injuries, so that doesn't make sense. There's no damage to the skull outside what was caused during her murder, and the glial scarring is too deep to be that recent. It's as if she received years' worth of traumatic brain injuries from within her own skull.
That unfortunately fucking tracks with what Leah knows.
Now, Adrian, we are reviewing the footage, correct?
Correct.
There is a single security camera at Maryland Corrections Storage Unit 3 that sits above the entrance to the right of the garage door, angled down and to the north to catch sight of any intruders that are trying to open either of the locks. It's an old VHS model that saves battery and tape by only activating if a motion sensor triggers the security light, and it films at 1 frame a second. The timestamps are incredibly inaccurate, but with the information you get from Dr. Caron and localizing around the approximate time of death, you're able to determine that this probably only holds about 3 weeks of footage before it rewinds and records over old footage. But thanks to the FBI technicians who were on scene before you showed up, the tape has been digitized and is searchable on this computer forensic setup that you have out here now. I need you to go ahead and roll sanity first and foremost.
Oh, good. 42 out of 75.
You lose 1 from violence. The footage is shockingly gruesome, as would befit the state of the corpse that Dr. Caron has been examining. The murder of Carrie Houghton took place near the center of the aluminum garage door where she was staked. Most of the action, seen in stills 1 second apart, hovers just out of frame. In addition to the motion-activated security light, there are headlights that are illuminating the scene, indicating that the party probably drove to the location. The choppy footage's first frame shows the legs of a rail-thin white man dragging the prone, kicking Houghton across the gravel toward the door. His hand drives a screwdriver through her left wrist. Grainy footage shows a tattoo on his sinewy inner right forearm. An open, fanged mouth with blackness inside. Another assailant, dressed in a variety of raggedy skirts, an army jacket, and rain boots, kneels on Houghton's legs to hold them down. This almost brings the second assailant's face clearly into frame multiple times, becomes just short, only revealing her as a white woman with shoulder-length black hair and a lip ring. A third assailant is off screen further to the north, holding down Houghton's right side. The hands look like those of a white or Hispanic man, and the left hand shows what looks like the angry scar of a deep cut still healing. It takes roughly 30 minutes for the assailants to remove Houghton's teeth with pliers. This is mostly blocked by the man in jeans on Houghton's left, though her struggles cause him to move enough that a glimpse of her increasingly traumatized lower jaw occasionally becomes available. It's the female assailant that's doing the dental work, while her two companions hold Houghton down. None of them seem hurried or bothered by the screams or the glaring security light illuminating them. After a short break, spent standing in their positions, presumably catching their breaths and watching Houghton puke blood, the woman in rain boots leaves the frame and returns shortly with the mattock. The torture continues for another 10 minutes, for most of which Houghton mercifully goes limp. Perhaps she lost consciousness, or perhaps she just had the good fortune to finally die. Then, in unison, the figures leave the range of the motion sensor and the camera shuts off. Seconds later, the female assailant is back in frame, staring a challenge into the camera. She is smiling cruelly, revealing stained, crooked teeth indicating a near-total lack of dental hygiene or a methamphetamine addiction. She's young, with unkempt black hair barely tamed inside a beanie cap. Her cheeks are sunken and malnourished. Her lips, in addition to the ring, are peppered with sores. The left side of her neck holds some sort of tattoo resembling the mountain lion symbol of a popular sports brand. Sarah, are you looking at either of this, at either the autopsy or the footage?
I don't think I would be at that moment, since Adrian kind of was doing it a little bit more privately, and I'm just kind of observing everyone. So not unless my attention is called to it, no.
Okay. Adrian, this woman stares for several frames, then raises her cupped hands to the camera lens, revealing a handful of Carrie Houghton's teeth. There's 4 of them. She holds the teeth up to the camera for one more frame before the motion sensor shuts down again, and footage doesn't resume until a state trooper discovers the body. Can you make a SIGINT roll for me, please?
Sure. 35 out of 50.
You do notice something odd, though. First, the camera's location is plainly visible. It would have been easy for the killers to destroy it or avoid it. But second, the camera sports a half globe of tinted black glass to obscure the direction in which it aims. There's no way to track the camera's movement without breaking the covering or shining an extraordinarily bright light directly at it. Neither of those things happened, and yet the leader of the assailants perfectly framed her face and her trophies for the camera.
What I'd like to be doing as well as this is happening is I would like to try and burn this footage and any other information that I can, evidence of this laptop, onto mine. Maybe just put it on one of my external hard drives. Do I notice anything that would put the 3 of them in any sort of hot water or the program?
Nothing immediately, no.
And then anything in the reports that I can find?
Honestly, the only information that's available right now, apart from this footage, is Carrie Houghton's medical history, which they were able to pull after they identified her, and then her fingerprints that they used to identify the corpse and cross-reference it with her state background check results from 1997.
If it's possible, then what I'd like to do is I would like to try and amend her records to show that she in fact did have a history of some sort of mental disorder, whether it's like schizophrenia or, the onset of paranoia or anything like that. Anything that would make it seem like the thing that the scarring that she has in her brain is more of a hereditary thing and not like a bizarre sudden thing.
What's your intelligence?
My intelligence is 16.
You know not to do that here.
Okay, so I should do that offsite.
Yep, remotely.
Got it. Then I will make a mental note of it.
Remote's going to be your best bet, especially with Velasquez kind of hovering around. She's been kind of moving back and forth from your review of the security footage to Dr. Caron's autopsy and examination of the body.
Is there anything that I'd be able to do? Could I be able to very slyly install some kind of monitoring software into this computer so that I'd be able to access it remotely when we're done?
Love it. Go ahead and roll computer science. Or Sigint, your choice, whichever's higher.
What? Are you kidding me? 83 out of 80.
Yeah, with an 83 out of 80, you start to do it, but realize that you don't have the tools on hand to execute this, and you would not be able to do so without being possibly detected by Velasquez. It would take a little bit more time than what you got, so you'll either have to come back later with another tool or see if there is possibly a way to get access remotely. Does anyone look at Houghton's personal effects or the murder weapons?
If no one else will, I will. Make sure that gets covered.
The bloody clothes removed from Houghton's body included only pajamas without pockets. No shoes are present. Nothing about the nature of the crime indicates robbery as a motive, and the lack of shoes or any identification means it's pretty much a certainty that she was taken from her house or somewhere else nearby. The murder weapons themselves all have labels on the handles written in permanent marker. They belong to one Kim Soon-hoo and bear his phone number. The Cecil County coroner and law enforcement on the scene were already able to track down that Sun-hoo works maintenance for the prison, and he has a rock-solid alibi for Thursday night and Friday morning, having been recorded by CCTV inside the prison. He was fixing a plumbing emergency inside one of the cells at the time of the murder.
Just to clarify, they belong to Kim Soo-hoo or they belong to the prison, but he uses them?
They belong to him.
Okay. It's not like they were brought from his house. They were brought from the prison, presumably.
Correct. When he was interviewed, he told state police that the tool bucket he uses for basic maintenance work went missing the previous week, and it looks like the tools had fallen off from the back of his Maryland Corrections utility truck after he had offloaded some bed frames into the storage unit on Thursday morning, 18 August 2016.
Well, they've been around for a while. This wasn't just something they did. It's not like they found the tool bucket there and they opened it. They stole his tools some time ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Just really quick, as I was kind of observing everyone kind of in this space, does anyone stand out to me? I mean, I'm expecting people to be disturbed, but I guess her concern is that we don't know where these kids went. It's been 15 years. It's possible one of the older ones got into law enforcement somehow. Someone could be here. Just kind of keeping an eye out for someone who might be responding oddly to the scene.
What's your human score?
80.
With that 80 in human, nothing is standing out to you. If anything, you're probably, I would hazard to say, impressed by the stoicism of Detective Velasquez. She's definitely a pro. Like, you get the impression that this is a professional. She's not a loudmouth like Costa. This is something that, while it's left its mark on her, she is all in on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go stand beside her for a moment. So on the way down, I looked into the site and its history, and I saw that old report. What was that, 15 years ago? You responded to the scene then?
Yeah, I was, I was just barely a rookie trooper then. That was two detectives with criminal investigations, Baswell and Dale. They worked the scene.
What's your instinct on this?
What do you mean?
I don't know. What happened to the victim here feels extremely personal. And I don't details, but it sounds like some kids that survived this place went through hell. Do you have any idea where they are now?
She kind of studies you for a second. You think it's the kids that did this?
I don't know. But you don't just walk up to someone random you have no connection to and do something like this. And if maybe we look into the victim's records, if she had any contact with these kids back then, maybe connection to what happened here.
Well, they ruled all this was what happened before was a drug hit.
Does this feel like a drug hit?
Cartels do some fucked up shit, don't they? And you can tell she doesn't even believe that.
Yeah, I just kind of give her a non-committal, like, kind of look.
You want to step outside?
Of course.
And she'll leave the refrigerated truck with you and walk outside, where we've got Adrian's still poring over the surveillance footage. And Adrian, how far back and how far forward do you go with the footage? Do you take like the full 3 weeks that would have been recorded, or do you just limit it to the murder?
I take the full 3 weeks, but I would like to just sort of go maybe like double speed, maybe like the 24 hours prior and 24 hours after.
Okay, so you are limiting it to just the day before, the day after.
Yeah, for right now.
Got it. Okay. Velasquez looks at you, Sarah, and says, "How long have you been doing this? Law enforcement."
Been with the Bureau about 20 years. Consulting.
Yeah, so you know how this goes, right?
I have an idea.
Maryland State Police was out here back in 2001, and we somehow missed the 50-something bodies buried underneath here. Everybody from the governor's office on down is looking for somebody to blame. And right now it's looking like we're gonna catch the brunt of it. I need assurances.
What can I do?
You make sure this doesn't land on me. On State Police.
Do what I can. Do me a favor and look into those kids.
Make a persuade roll. Or make law, bureaucracy, or persuade.
Oh, damn. Now I fail, of course. 86 out of 80.
She looks at you and says, "Yeah, I'll see what I can do, but I gotta cover my ass here."
Yeah, of course. Anything my team finds, I'll let you know. At least give you a heads up on it if it's coming your way.
All right. Now, Bear, you were looking into the police reports with Deputy Costa, with Mike, to see what had been reported. So what you're able to find is pretty much what was relayed in the timeline. So Maryland State Police received a call from a Deputy Casey Eckstein, who essentially is what tripped off the program.
Right. He's from Florida.
Yeah, with Hendry County. Maryland State Trooper Vivian Sawyer was the first one to drive to the old site of Cornucopia House, the same one that Deputy Eckstein was asking about, just on a hunch. Drove up to Maryland Corrections Storage Unit 3 and discovered the dead body of Carrie Houghton, pinned to the garage door. She immediately called for backup and secured the scene, at which point she discovered a stray dog that was digging in the rear of the warehouse and observed that the animal had exposed a human skull. At that point, she amended her call for backup with a request for a canine unit. It was at that point that search and rescue dogs came out and hit on human remains buried in the area of the storage unit, at which point the Cecil County forensics team was scrambled out to begin investigation. The coroners contacted the Forensic Sciences Division of the Maryland State Police pretty much immediately, requesting a consultation, and the scene was further secured by state troopers with the investigators still en route. But that's pretty much what you're able to find. It's pretty much the official narrative.
Okay. I was hoping if I could talk to the people who had been there on the scene, that maybe there would be something that wasn't in the report, but
We'll say that you're easily able to get contact information for these people and reach out to them via telephone. You identify yourself, you speak with them. They do not relay any information different from that which is contained in their report. And you don't get the impression that they're holding anything back.
Okay.
But with that, with our investigation into this discovery at Cornucopia House beginning in earnest, I think this is a good place to end tonight's session.
Damn.
All right.
Thank you for listening to Delta Green, God's Teeth, part of the Black Project Gaming podcast. If you like what you heard, please consider leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or a comment on YouTube. Be sure to visit blackprojectgaming.com for previous and future Delta Green episodes. If you'd like updates on all future releases, please follow us on Blue Sky or Facebook. Until next time, I'm Vince, your host and handler, with Cami as FBI Special Agent Sarah Hart, Doug as Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent Gerrald Bear Swenson, Jack as Special Agent Adrian Selivanov with the FBI's Computer Analysis Response Team, and Sonia as Dr. Leah Caron with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Thank you again, and remember, we'll be seeing you.